Heyo, welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a stay-at-home mom of 2 young kids, and I am so happy that you stopped by today. Over here on my channel, I like to share 3 meals that we ate throughout the week. All of this week's meals were super de-duper, like delicious. I'm totally going to be upfront with you guys this week. If you have to pick one meal to try from this video, definitely make sure that it's the stuffed French toast. That meal was fire. Spoiler alert. So anyways, if you like this sort of content, please be sure to give me a thumbs up at the end if you enjoyed this. Please consider subscribing to my channel. I do upload about 2 to 3 videos per week. There's a lot of food related content, hauls, vlogs, whole bunch of stuff like that. But let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. So up first is that super fantastic stuffed French toast that I was talking about earlier. To start with, what we want to do is we want to start prepping our fresh berries. And usually I am no snob to fresh versus frozen, but this time you really do want to use fresh berries because I think if you use frozen, it would make the inside filling too watery. So yeah, this is how I always wash my berries. I just take my salad spinner, I pour a healthy amount of white vinegar in, and then I let them soak in very cold water for a good amount of time. Then I'm going to go ahead and spin them dry, take the strawberries out, put the blueberries in this handy little produce container I have that really helps them stay fresh. I'll have it linked down below if you're interested. And I'm quickly just taking the tops off of the strawberries. Any extra berries from this recipe will definitely just go ahead and eat throughout the week. Now we're going to go ahead and move on into the cream cheese filling of the stuffed French toast. So I'm silly and I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally not going to want as much cream cheese filling as this recipe says. This is bonkers. It's calling for a whole block of cream cheese. Learn from my mistake. Use the whole block of cream cheese. This filling is delicious. It is not too sweet and the texture is wonderful after it's been griddled. So you're going to take the whole block of cream cheese, 1/3 cup of powdered sugar, and a splash of vanilla and just blend that up and set it aside. While I'm over here, I'm just going to go ahead and get my bacon ready on the sheet pan, and I'm also going to twist them because I think it makes them a little more crunchy. I'll go ahead and put that in the oven at 375 for like 15 to 20 minutes, just until it's done to our liking. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get the scrambled eggs ready as a side. So I'm just making these how I usually make my scrambled eggs, and that's by putting some salt and pepper, Lowry seasoned salt, and freeze-dried chives in them. This time I also decided to add a little bit of Tony's just because the French toast, I knew it was going to be super sweet. So I wanted something to cut that a little bit. And then of course I add a healthy dollop of sour cream in there, and I think this is a really important part, but you want to mix these like super thoroughly. Mix, 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 and then mix a little bit more. Then you want to leave them on your counter until you're ready to cook them, and it's going to give you the fluffiest, most delicious scrambled eggs. Now this is my absolute favorite French toast batter recipe, and I will have it linked down below in the description. It's from Food Network. So to a dish, you are going to go ahead and add 4 eggs, 1/4 cup of milk. I like to add a little splash of heavy cream as well. I think it just makes it a little more delectable. 2 tablespoons of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I usually add a little more because we really like cinnamon. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And that is definitely a spice you don't want to overdo, so I would recommend measuring that one out. And of course, just a quick splash of vanilla. Now, you don't necessarily need to mix this a whole lot like the scrambled eggs I just told you about. I just always have a really hard time getting the cinnamon incorporated, so if you have any tips or tricks on that, let me know down below in the comments. So here I prepared a big baking tray lined with aluminum foil, and this is also where I'm going to lay my cooked food once it's done cooking off of the griddle. So here, this is also going to be my prep station to build the stuffed French toasts. So here I just have some of the brioche bread from Aldi, which is A+ if you've never tried it, definitely do. And then I'm going to just take some of that cream cheese spread that we made earlier and also put some fruit inside of the sandwiches. And because I'm a big goose, I didn't make enough cream cheese filling, and so now I'm just going to make half of the loaf as regular French toast, which is just fine because this is my favorite French toast recipe. So yeah, once you get that all assembled, you're just going to go ahead and move over to your cooking station. A lot of French toast recipes tells you to soak your French toast in the egg mixture, but I never like that. I feel like it makes it way too soggy, so I just do a quick dunk and then right onto the griddle. So yeah, just let them sit until they're nice and golden brown on both sides. Once I was done using the griddle for the French toast, I just went ahead and rinsed it off with some water real quick, turned the heat down super low, added a couple more tablespoons of butter, and slowly cooked my eggs. Now, not only does this make it look pretty, I think this does add a lot of good flavor to your French toast. So if you've never tried actually adding powdered sugar at home to your French toast, I highly recommend it. I really, really think it changes the taste for the better. And yeah, this meal was like knock your socks off good. The filling, I was really worried that it was going to be super sweet and super rich, and none of us are really all about that vibe, so that would have made it a miss for us, but instead the filling was absolutely wonderful. I can't wait to make this again. This was a favorite for everybody. Next, I went ahead and made some chicken fries. Now, I've made this recipe plenty of times before, and I always make it a little different every time I make it, so, you know, do whatever works for your kitchen. I'm just going to show you how I made them this time. So to start off with, I still just have a partially frozen chicken breast, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that into fairly small strip pieces. They ended up being a little bigger than I expected, but that's fine. They mostly just turned into chicken tenders versus chicken fries. I actually wanted to do 3 flavors just to give us some variety. So to all of the chicken, I am going to be adding some salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika. Oh, and of course, lemon pepper seasoning. Once I got the base seasoning mixed on all of the chicken, I went ahead and I added 2 additional flavors. So I added some Tonys to a larger pile, and then I wanted to try the Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse on just a small amount of them. Once I had my chicken all seasoned, I just went ahead and made up a quick dredging station. So here I have 3 Pyrex containers. In the first container to the left, I just have some flour with some additional seasonings, so salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika. Then in the middle container, I just have some milk and vinegar, which is a great substitute for buttermilk if you don't have any. If you don't want to do that, you can use just regular butter, or you could use eggs. I just personally don't like the flavor of eggs with breading, so we use buttermilk. And the very last dish on the right of the dredge station is just a 1-to-1 ratio of panko and Italian style breadcrumbs. So anytime I need to fry anything, I never actually do a full submersion fry. It's just too much oil for me to deal with for my liking. So I always do a shallow fry, and that's where I basically just fill up about 1/3 to half of a cast iron pan with canola oil and wait for it to, get a little bubbly. I usually just dip a toothpick in there to see if it'll kind of sizzle a little bit. Then yeah, I really just fry them until they're golden, and then I'll give them a flip, put them on a fresh baking sheet once the other side is golden, and I'm not worried about them being cooked because I'm going to put them into the oven at 400 for maybe like additional 5-ish minutes. The important part is that the internal temperature is 165. Then yeah, to go on the side with this, I just went ahead and did some air fryer onion rings and French fries. I did make up a salad bag that I got from Sam's Club. It was the dill pickle salad, and 5 out of 10, it was okay. It was definitely no maple Dijon bag salad. I just drizzled some of the hot honey over top of mine, and I made this fairly early in the day, and we really just ate on it all day. It was great. So the last meal I'm going to share is a staple in our house. I make this multiple times a month. It's just, I always have the ingredients for it, and it's really easy and super flavorful. That is Korean barbecue beef bowls. And to start off with, I'm just going to go ahead and make some of that perfect instant pot rice. The recipe is always going to be down below whenever I make this. Definitely go try it for yourself. While my rice is cooking, I just went ahead and added 1 pound of ground beef to some sort of pan. You can use a simmer pot, skillet, whatever. Just go ahead and start browning that up. While that's cooking, we're going to go over to our prep station, and we are going to make a sauce that is going to be mixed in with the ground beef. So to start off with, we have a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, about 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, a dash of red chili flakes, and 1 to 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. I'm also going to add in a big scoop of garlic and just mix that up to combine. Once your beef is most of the way cooked, go ahead and give it a quick stir around, and then you're going to go ahead and add in the sauce that we just made. Once the sauce is added in, go ahead and turn your heat down to low, and you're going to let your beef finish cooking and the sauce reduce down. Then we go back to our prep station to make more sauce, but this time the sauce is going to be for fried rice. I can never quite remember where I saw this recipe or where I found it, but it's some sort of copycat fried rice recipe, and you start off with about 1/4 cup of soy sauce, a splash of mirin, a splash of rice wine vinegar, about 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, a dash of ground ginger, and here's the secret ingredient, about half a teaspoon of ground mustard. Bear with me, it's really tasty and definitely give it a try. So here's how I start out my fried rice. To this pot, I had a whole bunch of butter, onions, and garlic caramelizing down. Then once they start to soften and turn brown, I'm going to go ahead and add in that Instant Pot rice and really just kind of press it down into the onions and garlic. I'm going to go ahead and pour the sauce right over top of the rice, and then here's where you can add pretty much any frozen vegetable that you would like to add to this. We keep it simple, and I'm just adding some peas and carrots. Then I place the lid on top for about 5 to 10 minutes, let the vegetables steam, and give it a good stir. So I've stirred the rice a whole bunch at this point, and really you just want to keep flipping it around and letting it get nice and crispy on the bottom and constantly changing what rice is on that bottom layer. Remember, it's called fried rice, not soft rice. So you want to have some crispy, crunchy pieces in there. And yeah, this meal is excellent. It's a family favorite. We really do eat this so many times a month, and it's honestly really cheap. This will also feed us for about 2 to 3 days. I just topped mine with some yum yum sauce, and yeah, A+. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, guys. Any recipe I used is going to be linked down below in the description box. Be sure to give me a like. Please consider subscribing, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!